Well, here we are. Today, it's ColliTalks Transformative Conversations. And that's exactly what we talk about, transformations. And today, wow, I have an amazing woman that you are going to be so delighted that you are listening to this because she is going to open up worlds within worlds of you by just listening. So I want to welcome her, and I hope to get her name correct. It is Sonja Riediger. And this is where we will explore the unseen, the mystical, and the profound truths that shape our reality. So, with that in mind, and having the honor of welcoming her, I'm just so excited I can hardly speak. Sonja is an alchemist, a healer, a guide in the vast realm of psychic work and spirituality. Her journey began as here we go, Uzu Reiki master, but it quickly became clear that her gifts extended far beyond energy healing. She has devoted her life to deep transformational work, including medical mediumship, crystal healing, spirit crossings, and even deliverances and exorcisms, both remotely and in person. With unwavering integrity and divine guidance, Sonja serves as a conduit for healing, clearing negative energies and unlocking hidden wisdom. Her work is not just about seeing beyond the veil, but about helping others find clarity, healing, and empowerment in their own lives. So today, we're going to dive deep into the mysteries that Sonja has unraveled, the forces she works with, and the profound insights she has gained through her experiences. Prepare for a conversation that will challenge what you think you know and open doors to absolutely new and amazing new possibilities. Sonja, welcome to ColliTalks.
Thank you, Colli. I am honored to be on your podcast and that you allow me to speak about the gifts that I have and, to educate the listeners a little bit about the unseen.
Well, I've had the experience of experiencing you, so I couldn't resist. And I want to share you with my audience, which is now your audience as well. So you describe yourself as an alchemist. And so for, the audience, what does that mean, first of all, to you in the context of your work?
Well, an alchemist is usually the guy or the woman who transforms and transmutes lead into gold, right?
Mm.
That's the mystical part, the leprechaun, the at the end of the rainbow with the gold pot. In a spirituality, that means that I transform negative energies into positive energies and transmute them. So I change the negative into a positive. I change the darkness into light. I help people
Mm-hmm.
help people heal. I help people get better. That's the transformation. That's alchemy for me. And also the alchemy pertains to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me to work on other people, other humans, I need to make sure that I transform whatever is negative in me or has trauma. I need to transform that into light, into brightness, into love. And that's what I do too. So I work on myself and I work on other people.
Wow, wonderful. Well, I know it to be true. You're very integral. And yeah.
Thank you.
So you've obviously encountered spirits and energy imprints and forces beyond what most people can even perceive, right? So can you share a moment where the veil between worlds was the thinnest for you?
Um, with a client or
For
with
you,
myself?
for yourself,
Mhm.
your experience, how this all came to be. Your
Well, how it came to be. Well, the thing is that through my own emotional trauma and my marriage, that I married my mom. I married a narcissistic sociopath, and
Mm,
my mom was an alcoholic on top. So that little girl grew up with all the gifts, and I had no idea, because we have these gifts in us. Everybody has innate, and depending what path we go, we follow, what lessons we have to learn, sometimes it takes just you're young, and then your gifts started to emerge and you follow this, or it's later in life. With me, it
Mhm.
was later in life, but I always had a knowingness. I always knew if a person was good or not. I
Right.
always knew if the energy was in sync or if the energy was off. But here's the key: because of the lessons that I learned in my own path, in my own marriage, in my relationships with my mom, and I healed this trauma as best as it gets in steps and steps and steps. It's
Right.
never done 100%, but as much as we work on it, that's when I was healed to a certain degree,
Mhm.
then Reiki popped up in my Facebook feed. That's how subtle that was, for a week, every day. Every day, like a dozen times. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? I was doing jewelry, I was designing jewelry, I was making jewelry, I was putting healing in it, and I dabbled, enlisted in that online academy because it was COVID.
Right.
And like, okay, what am I doing now? How do I get initiated? How do I get attuned? Because it says that you have to do the courses, you have to learn all this, you have to buy the book, blah, 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 and then you have to be attuned. And I'm like, then who's going to do that? Online, remotely. I'm like, okay. So happened to be that I met a Reiki master, an acquaintance. She lived in a town about 60K from my place, and she needed somebody to balance her chakras.
Oh,
So, oh yeah,
yeah.
so we connected. She connected with me because she saw me a post of mine, and then I met with her, and then I balanced her chakras, and she agreed to be my master, to attune me. So I did the academy, I did all the courses, I did the exams, and every time I aced that exam, then she came and she said, okay, now it's time for me to attune you. So the moment the first attunement happened, I felt her energy going through my crown, going into all my chakras in my body. And I was like, okay, what is this? This is different. From that moment on, everything was like a domino, like somebody pushed a domino and everything was boom, 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 boom. So I did my Reiki master did 4 courses in 4.5 months. I did over 200 Reikis remotely and in
Oh,
person in this time. Yes, although it was COVID, but I found people that were willing to come and where I could go for practice. And then after the 4.5 months, I got my master instructor. I was done. And turns out that I thought, okay, I'm ready to tackle something else. So I happened to know the Ghostbuster in town, Michael Rowland.
okay.
So, but he retired and
Oh,
he was clearing negative energies and crossing over spirits. And I knew that. And during my Reikis, I felt I can do more. And it was not only the healing I did, I balanced chakras right away. And I felt other stuff. I felt
mhm.
something in bodies. I felt energy stuck in organs. And I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. But what do I do with this? So then Michael pops up, and then I reach out to him, and he says, I'm retired, I don't take on any students anymore. And I'm like, bummer. And then, but he sent to me, I have some questions. Can you answer me the questions? And then I think about it. Oh, right,
Oh,
I said,
okay.
yeah. And then it happens that I answered all these questions to his satisfaction. And then he had a meditation with the divine. And then he says, yeah, I take you on. And then
Oh,
he taught me what he knew. And then he sent me out and says, yeah, I can send you no clients, which he did. And from this point on, I incorporated clearing the negative energies,
right,
whatever, if it's a ghost, if it's a dark angel, if it's an entity, if it's negative thought forms. So the belief systems, the programming, I
right.
detect this. I take that away, and layer by layer. So, and then I go into the person's energy field deeper, look into the organs, because it turns out that I can feel diseases. I can feel if there's supplements missing, if there's anything stuck, like energy stuck beyond the negative energies, just like a stagnation.
Right.
For example, when we are angry and we have lots of resentment and frustration, that gets stuck in the liver. And it's that emotion. And
Right.
yes, we have to work on the emotion. What is the root cause? But first off, let's unblock the liver. And that's what I do. I take the blocks out and balance chakras. So I do that in one swoop, which sounds just like a walk in the park, which it is for me,
For you,
but
yes.
only not only because I am connected directly to the creator. So
Right.
I'm the vessel for all of this. I don't take credit for what I do. I take credit for being open to be that vessel.
Yeah, absolutely. The open vessel, right? I have to say thank you, COVID. You know, COVID has changed so many people's lives, some not so good. But I have had the pleasure of interviewing another lady a couple of days ago, and COVID changed her life in insurmountable ways. And same with you. It's like it's brought this to you and you to us, right? In
Yeah.
this way, which is thank you, COVID. So a lot of people go, "Oh, Colli, really?" Anyway, we won't get into that. But so, but in your experience, what happens when when a spirit remains earthbound?
Well, when the spirit remains earthbound, there's a few reasons why that
Hmm.
spirit can remain earthbound.
Okay.
So, one of the reasons is that if the death of that person was very dramatic, so let's say a hit and run, or he got murdered or she got murdered, and that person didn't even know that they were dead in a
Right.
sense because it
Okay.
happened so fast. It could be an accident as well. Then the spirit gets confused, and sometimes that spirit thinks they need to stay for revenge, for example,
Oh,
because you're getting angry, which is it's very interesting, but that happens because it's in the world in between, because they haven't crossed over, right?
right.
So then they attach themselves to people that have this will of revenge in them, that have this emotion that they're looking for. So then they attach themselves to an energy field of that person, or they attach themselves to a house where there's a lot of
Mm,
fighting and abuse,
hmm.
or a land where there was a mass massacre or anything like that.
Right.
So this is what they do. Then there's children that die, young souls that do not know what's going on. They're confused because they have no idea what to do, where to go.
Hmm.
So I just take them and by the hand, so to speak, and cross them over. So and then
Okay.
there's other spirits that feel that they have to stay. They don't want to go, but their body says, "I need to go." And then the spirit is hanging in here in the in between and is saying, "Well, but I need to stay here for my mom, for my husband, for my wife, for my sister, whoever,"
Okay.
and they don't want to go.
Hmm.
That's a few examples why
Right.
earthbound would stay. And then they can stay for a long time because they can switch hosts. They go from
Oh.
this host, that host. Yeah.
Oh.
It's when you meet somebody who has an earthbound spirit on him,
Hmm.
and the earthbound spirit thinks, "Oh, wow, I like you better," then it's easy for that earthbound spirit to hop over.
I was
Seriously.
just going to say
It's
it's like hopping train cars, right? Hitch a
yeah,
ride.
100%. Yeah. It sounds fun, but that's how that works.
Oh
Yeah.
my
It's
goodness.
energy.
Wow.
So
Yes. Oh, oh.
that same goes for other negative entities and things that are on you that are not serving your highest good. So
Hmm.
it can come from other people. And sensitive people are more prone to that because they're open, they feel that. So, and especially negative forces, they love light, they love bright people. And most of us do not know how to protect ourselves energetically because we are not. constantly thinking about these things because it's not in our vicinity, it's not in our curriculum, right?
Right, right. Well, I have a very interesting short little story about that. I happen to have gone to Tobago and Trinidad many years ago, and I was staying in a villa, and the lady that had, she my friend had invited me, and we were there, and all the rooms in the villa were filled except for the little children's room because her whole family was showing up for just a couple days. So anyway, I ended up in the little children's room because I was the only single person, and I would go up and I would do my meditation and I would do my prayer and I would do some of my yoga and things. And one night I was in bed and I felt this thrust and I was literally kicked out of bed, smashed my head on the end table, and went
Mhm.
down and bleeding and got ice and whatever. And, went back up to my room quietly and just, hoped everything would be okay in the morning. And it was. But the housekeeper said to me, "Are you okay?" Because she noticed. And I said, "Well," and I sort of jokingly said, I must have fallen out of bed, but it felt like somebody kicked me. And she said, "Oh, yeah, you got kicked." And I was like, "What?" And she said,
Mhm.
"Yeah, the spirits don't like you." And I went, "What?" And she said, "Well, what were you doing?" And I said, "Well, praying, yoga, you meditate." She said, "No, because that area was a war zone before, and there were a lot of," yeah. So anyway, I had work done with regards to that around all of that when I got back with a shaman.
Yes.
But but it was very interesting what you say because I was, not saying so much that I'm a light worker at that point, but I was doing light working things.
Yes,
And
100%.
the dark obviously did. So I'm so glad you mentioned that because I think a lot of people, if I was to have told that story to a lot of people, they'd look at me like, "Yeah, okay, sure, whatever, Collie," But there is a method to the madness, right? So what is Sonia, what prevents, these spirits from crossing over?
Well, it's emotions actually in a sense because they, like I said, they come from a place of insecurity. They come from a place of anger. They come
Mm,
from a place of guilt.
mm.
Somebody who commits suicide, for example. Usually these souls, they're not crossing over right away. Sometimes they don't cross over for a long, long time
Oh,
because guilt they feel. They know that it's wrong, but this person still wanted to do that. And it's everything that is troublesome,
right.
troublesome in a negative way. This is when spirits stay here. And yes, they haunt. And sometimes even in today's society, there's people that dedicate their souls to the other side, which
Mm,
is actually a fact. And when that happens, then I have these spirits here, and they are nasty spirits, and they do harm to people like they did with you. So
yes.
I had a client who, good example, because I cleared that house.
Mm,
He contacted me and he had a black eye. He had a shiner.
okay.
And I said to him, what? How did you get that shiner?
Mhm.
And he said to me, well, I'm in my basement. I think I have a ghost in the house. I'm like, okay. He says, I'm in the basement and I lock the door to the outside. It's a gym room. And he tied one of these stretchy, strappy thingies that you can use for shaping your body onto that handle. But it
Okay.
was locked, like with a key locked. So that door was definitely locked and he used it a lot of times. What happened is that the strap, which was knotted and everything, got loose and hit him in his eye, like out of the blue. So that was the ghost.
Right.
And then we spoke on the phone and he told me about all this. And I says, well, yeah, I can clear that. No problem. I crossed the spirit over.
Mhm.
But they have eyes and ears
Right.
energetically, right? So what happened that night was that the ghost was switching on light, on and off, on and off, on and off the whole night. And a pearl necklace of his wife was on the counter by the sink in the bathroom.
Okay.
So that pearl necklace was transported into the bathtub and totally stripped.
Oh, wow.
So that was that ghost. And then he called me the next morning because I didn't have time. Sometimes I'm booked. It's kind of
Mm,
like, okay, unless it's a super emergency and I can shift things, but I couldn't. So, and then he calls me again and I says, where are you? And he says, I'm in the house. I says, I want you to get out of the house because that's what I got as an information before he even started talking. And he says, oh, so he walked out of the house and he walked away for quite some distance. And then
mhm.
we were talking, then he told me that. And I says, okay, I want you to move out of the house for today. I switch my stuff. I clear the house today. And you're not coming back until I tell you because I need
Right.
to know that thing is gone. So he had two ghosts in the house and they were both mad as heck. And it had to do with their own lives. So
Right.
I get information about their demise, how they died most of the time.
Mhm.
I get sometimes an age when they died, which year it was, and I get a little bit of a story. And the story is necessary sometimes to cross them over because I have a conversation with them.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
which sounds, but now I just said that, but yeah, that's true. I engage with them so that they understand that when they cross over, they actually do not have to have any fear, guilt, resentment anymore, that this is light and love, and that there's people, other spirits waiting for them, family members and whatnot.
Mhm.
So, and then they just cross over.
Mm,
So it's like guiding them into the light, and this is very important.
mhm.
I encounter that in houses, in people. I also encounter that in land, especially when there's land that has too much blood on it, like from a
Right.
mass. So that this land not only needs to be it needs to be cleared in a sense, it needs to be healed too, right? So, and I do that too. And what the main thing is that I do for people is getting rid of the negative influences in their energy field. And a
Right.
lot of people are not aware of this and they do not know why they are getting sick, why this is hurting, why they have foggy brains, why their organs are failing, even when they have cancer. There's always a reason based in trauma, in emotional, and also in the spiritual world with energies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was wondering if, you could share a time perhaps when you actually encountered a presence. I mean, I'm talking, and you know what I mean with regards to a very strong, powerful energy that changed your understanding of your own work.
Yeah, it happened in Puerto Vallarta, May 2023.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when I felt so. I have to say something. I have a lot of senses that clairvoyance, clairsentience. I hear thoughts. I feel. I smell.
Mhm.
I taste. But I also see. But I don't see when I clear. That was my ask. I asked the creator to spare me the visual because I am squirmish. I don't like aliens. I don't like zombies. I don't like any squishy, squishy stuff.
Right, I get it.
So if I feel it, if I taste it, if I that doesn't matter to me. If I see it, I'm like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
So I'm scared this. I have to say that before because it is important for the story.
Right.
So I was in Puerto Vallarta and I met a couple, Europe, and he he was not himself. He said to me, "I'm not myself. I have angry thoughts. I have suicide thoughts. I have thoughts of killing my family. I have thoughts of killing other people. And I know it's not me. I feel the urge. I feel a mass. It's pushing me. I don't know what to do anymore. Nobody can help me."
Oh my
So
word.
he had contact with shamans, especially Puerto Vallarta, right?
Right.
Um, so nobody either didn't want to help him or couldn't help him. Whatever the case, I don't judge about that because I know I know now what I had to do was is not for the faint of heart. So we agreed that I'm gonna clear him. And his wife is a psychologist, but also intuitive.
Okay.
So and she's clairvoyant, so she sees things. So she was asking if she can be there, which I normally say no to, but because of her talents and gifts, I said, okay, let's do this together. She was sitting across from me and Her husband was laying on the couch in this case because I was actually on vacation.
Right.
But yeah, well, it happens to be that way.
Yeah,
A healer's
exactly.
never on vacation if something like that happens.
Exactly. Yeah, no.
Right?
I
So
got it.
he laid down, and we had a dog with us. I was looking after a dog from a friend, and that dog is very sensitive. So he's
Okay.
an intuitive dog. He's a healer dog. So the dog lays on his feet, and he said to me, I might puke. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I feel a little bit uneasy. I'm like, okay. So Bucket was there. The dog was on his feet. He was laying down, and I did my magic. And what I felt was he was possessed by a thin, dark mass. The dark mass was attached to his brainstem,
Oh my
going
goodness.
all the way down brainstem. Yeah, here,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
literally going down through his central nervous system, his whole body, and connecting with his heart, with his lungs, and with his stomach,
Ugh.
and also with his in his sacral area. So, and it was like a tentacle kind of thing. That's the mass I
Mhm.
felt. And it was all covering his head. And so I removed this and some other stuff, but that was the main thing. And it was I had to fight, like it was a literal fight to pull all this tentacle stuff out of him. And I'm like, what the heck?
Mhm.
And I was done. I think it took me 2 or 3 hours or something to do the whole thing. And the dog puked, not him, but the dog puked. And it was
Oh
all
my.
foam. Yes. So it
Wow.
was all foam. And I knew the dog took the brunt of this clearing that's why he laid on his feet, the root, right?
Mhm.
So that's why he lay there, and that's what the dog did. So the dog was helping. So then his wife was totally pale. She's black. She was totally pale. And I look at her and she looks at me and I'm like, okay, we're good now, right? And he was totally exhausted. And he felt everything. He told me what he felt, how he felt every single tentacle, every single thing that I removed. He had some other stuff, dark angels on him that was sitting on his chest, and he saw the faces. He described the faces to me. And I look at him, I'm like, you removed
Wow.
this? I removed this. Are you serious? And then his wife says, well, you didn't see the other thing, right? I'm like, what other thing? The thing that was sitting right here. And she described it to me. It was so disgusting. And I said, thank you to the creator. I said, thank you that I did not have to see this. I would not be able to go through with this
Mhm.
because it
Mhm.
was so, it, so incredible. So
Wow.
when that incident gave me the heebie-jeebies in a sense because I knew what I was doing. It got a confirmation, like the confirmation. I couldn't have had a better confirmation for my gifts.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
from then on, I did way more deliverances. I did a 2-year-old girl. I did a baby in mother's womb. I did older people in their 80s. I did people that were young teenagers, 16 years old. I did 4 or 5-year-old, 7-year-old children.
Wow.
And the immediate response when you do that, when they are possessed by a spirit or
Mhm.
a negative force, let's call it that way,
Mhm.
see the difference. The faces, they're the next picture is a different person, but it's the same person.
Right.
So,
Right.
and sometimes I see it always in the eyes. So when you send me a picture
Mhm.
as a client, I don't have to know nothing. I look in the eyes and I can tell what's going on.
Right.
This is a development. I didn't have that in the beginning. And this is all coming from my past lives as well. So
Right.
while we're at it, we should include that
Yeah.
because past lives, we have these gifts that are manifesting now here from past lives as well. So I was always an artist, a healer, a witch. I was always that.
Okay.
It's just because what I noticed when I was reading the Reiki instruction book, I didn't have to remember anything because it was already there. I didn't have to memorize anything. That's what I want to say. I did not.
The inner
It,
knowing.
yeah, boom, boom, boom.
Boom
It
boom.
was like exams, I could have done the exam after reading that book, all four of them. But I didn't do that because I knew I need to do the practice. I need to practice on people. I
Hmm.
need to have experience. I have to have that natural growth. But
Right.
my growth, when you look at from a spiritual point of view, from other healers I talk to, other practitioners, when we talk and they ask me how long I've been doing that, and I tell them, and then they feel my energy and they say, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's just this lifetime.
Hmm.
Past lives that I have, they go back to Atlantis. So no, it's all good."
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's the experience, the
Wow.
millennium old experience.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's like a wow. Just, yeah, huge. And, I was thinking in terms of speaking about your experience, there's, some people, I wouldn't say so much, I don't like the word skeptical, but, some people,
Oh,
it's sometimes is misunderstood, right? So
yeah.
what is the most misunderstood about, the aspect about these spiritual removals or the entities, or what is the most misunderstood aspect of it?
Well, because they can't see it, so they don't believe it.
Oh,
That's the thing. A lot
okay.
of people that are a skeptic, they say, "Well, I don't see it, I don't believe it." And can you prove it? Can you prove it? And I'm like, what do you want to know?
Mhm.
So sometimes it's like a challenge because they want to believe, but they don't because they were taught. They are stuck in their own belief system and their own programming.
Right.
I get that. And some people are coming from a place of extreme religion or sect. So, and
Mhm.
then I have no chance of convincing them, which is not my job.
Yeah.
I My job is to, if somebody really asks the question and says, "Well, I don't see it, I don't really believe it, but you know what? Sometimes I feel things and I'm not sure about it. Can you maybe explain a little bit, or can you show me, or can you tell
Mhm.
me anything about me that I need to know?" The best thing then I do sometimes, I just say to them, "Okay, I can tell you what's on you, but how about I tell you what's going on in your body?"
Right.
Because usually you know when something is off in your body. Let it be your liver is hurting or your tummy is hurting or something like that. You have an idea because you might push it away, but you have an idea. So, and that's what I do. I ask for permission, I tap into the energy field, and then I tell them, "Okay, let's say the gallbladder, you have gallstones. You
Mhm.
need to do something about that." "Oh, or your hormones are out of balance. You have too much testosterone, or your adrenal glands are shut. You can't sleep because you have nightmares. You have disruptive sleep because you have too much cortisol in your body."
Right.
And and then it hits them, and then they believe because
Right.
how could I know this? I'm
Yeah,
not a doctor. No, I'm not. But
exactly.
energy doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie. And I send a lot of my clients when there needs to be things done like a blood panel or hormonal blood panel or anything, or CT if I have a suspicion of something is going on, like a lump or anything, I send them to get the scans done and have a check. That's what I do, right?
Right.
Because I feel that's a responsible thing to do because we should work all together
Yeah,
as a holistic
absolutely.
approach,
As a
right?
holistic approach, absolutely. And with, with objects, for example, or even locations, they, retain energy, right? It's all energy. So what is this maybe strangest case of an item or place holding onto something dark or mysterious that you've ever encountered?
Well, I have to think about that.
Okay.
I have to think about that. What was the strangest? Well, see, that's the point. I don't even know what's the strangest because for me, it's not strange. I accept everything how it comes. So that's why for me, it's normal what
Right. It's
other
not a
people
strange
think is
encounter.
strange. No, it's not a strange encounter. I know I feel portals. So
Okay.
maybe that's the most the yeah. One house I encountered 12, 14 portals and vortexes in one
Oh.
4,500 square foot home
Oh my
in
god.
one home. But it was built on a former burial site of
Oh.
indigenous people. So, and that explained, but nobody knew that in that area. So, because I closed all these portals, And I'm like, okay, this is weird. I did some digging with him and I
Mhm.
got the information that I should look into the past, into burial sites. And yes, it was a burial site and that home was built on it. The other homes beside it too, but they were not from my client. So
Right.
yeah, that was the bizarrest ever. I've never encountered so many portals and vortexes and everywhere. My pendulum was going crazy
Oh my word.
because it told me, and it was all big stuff. Like very intense.
Right.
And I was like going nuts
Whirling
in
dervish.
yeah, yes. So
Oh
that
my
was the
goodness.
that was the most biggest encounter in vortexes and portals I've ever had in a house.
So was there any
Um,
resistance? I mean, to the cleansing, was there any resistance in the home? Like, could you feel
um,
resistance or
well, what I did, because that was in the beginning of my work, I encountered spirits in the house
right?
first.
Okay.
So, and these spirits, it was like I actually lived in that house for a while. And the I was looking after a friend's mom, and she died in that house. Well, she died in the hospital, but her husband died a couple months before, like half a year almost before, and he was haunting her. But
Oh,
she was living upstairs and I was living downstairs to look after her.
okay.
And so he was staying upstairs because he was afraid of my gifts because he was not very friendly to
Mm,
me. So, and I could see how do you say that? The veil, the tail, whatever is going on of that energy that goes through the fireplace. So I saw that and I felt it upstairs. Downstairs, it wasn't. But then it turns out I was protected by a shamanic spirit, one of my guides. So he made sure that the other earthbound spirit wouldn't harm me downstairs.
okay.
So she was gone when she died. I cleared the space and I cleared him out of the house because it's like, yeah, I don't want you living here, right? So, but I didn't realize that they were portals. And then my cat was totally going bonkers one night
Mm,
and wailing and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, what's going on with you? So I checked him in the morning and he was clear, but I had a meditation and then it came to me that this house has portals and I'm like, what portals?
mhm.
So I dug into that subject and then I closed all these portals. I have to make sure it's an entry portal. There are two portals, two types of portals. One is an exit portal for
Okay.
spirits to go into the other realm, into the next step, into the next light. The other one is an entry portal where ghosts, spirits, negative forces come in, entities, everything, masks, shapeshifting, whatever you can imagine. So we, as practitioners, we need to close this because we don't want an entry portal. The veil is thin enough, so we don't need
Right.
these everywhere. So and this
Right.
is what we close. Exit, yes, exit stays, but entry, no. And that were all entry portals, all of them.
Oh my word.
Yeah, so that was the most
That was so
craziest I've had with so
oh
many. Yeah.
oh my goodness. So what role, with regards to personal intention in spiritual healing, what role does it play or does it?
My per my personal intention,
Yeah.
it plays a big role because I have to set my sacred space, I call it sacred space, every morning, and I go to bed with the intention of waking up refreshed and whatever I do at night, because I go work in different dimensions,
Right.
that doesn't affect me when I come home. I had it affecting me in the beginning, and I had physical pain, I had bruises and whatnot. Yeah, I know, that sounds strange, but that was the truth.
Yeah, I believe it.
And yeah. So now I don't have that anymore. So what that means for me is I have to make sure I am a clear vessel. I am a clear person. So if I don't feel good, if I feel off, if my psychic abilities are not 100% or less than 80, I'm not working on people. I'm not
Mhm.
working even on houses.
Mhm.
That's my personal integrity on that. And I make sure that when I get triggered by any traumatic events that I had in this lifetime or past life I have to do past life regressions for myself, then I do that
Right.
before I go and work on people again. That's And every time I go into a person's energy field, I set a sacred space together with the energy of that person. So I address the person, well, the energy in the sense, right? I address the person and involve the person's energy in my sacred space so that I have it incorporated and I can work on the person. And the only thing I can do is work for the highest good. There's
Mhm.
no darkness. I have no darkness in me. I have no wish to work on the dark side. Absolutely
Right.
not. I'm fighting against this, and one human at a time. That's
Mhm.
where I make the difference.
And that you do
Mhm.
make a huge difference. I, it's interesting. In my work, I've met people that sometimes block their own healing. Have you met people like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, I do. But most of the time, they need a clearing first.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the blockage has to do with the energies that are on these people.
Right.
It prevents a lot of people from healing because they get really blocked because these negative energies, they feed on your negativity. Mm,
Right.
that's what they like. That's what they like to keep you. They like to keep the vibration of this planet down. That's the idea. So every time I get my hands on people that have all these attachments and I can clear one person, they come back anyways for more clearings because it's like a maintenance kind of thing, right? You
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
remove layer by layer like an onion because I can only remove at this point in time what you in your mind, body, and soul can really release and stomach, really
Yeah.
digest afterwards,
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah.
And yeah, and if I find people that resist healing or resist change, that I guarantee 100%, I say 100% that there's attachments.
Mm.
And when you remove that's the first block that is gone, and then yes, we can start healing. We can do intuitive counseling until the next clearing. So
Right.
nextly, and people gradually get better. I have addicts I work with. I get them sober. Well, they get themselves sober, but
Right.
I help them on the way to get sober. I
Right.
have cancer patients, in this case, patients. They get better. Sometimes it's a death diagnosis, and I can't do anything about that because it's not up to me. But
Right.
what I do is I do quantum healing on them. So I make their life or the rest of their life that they want to spend here a little bit better.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what I do too. And sometimes when somebody wants to cross over, so here's another example, right? I help people that want to
Right.
die, die because I strip them of the attachments, the negative attachments that hold them back here. And
Okay.
once these attachments are removed, I had it in a few cases, then the person can go and the
Mhm.
soul can go. Because the soul is ready to go, but the body is like, yeah, I'm holding on to all this and my energy wants this and that. Once this is stripped, they can go in peace. And then they cross over. So they're not being stuck in the in between.
Right. There's grace and ease.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Grace and
Yeah.
ease. Absolutely. And, you mentioned divine guidance, right? So, how do you discern what is truly from source versus something else?
Source, that's a good question. Source is always good.
Mm.
Source is always for your highest good. Source would never ask me to do something harmful to somebody.
Right.
Never. Source would never give me a negative, extreme negative path laid out in front of me that I have to tell somebody. Source wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
The creator wouldn't do that. And I feel it. I feel the difference between dark and light. Dark is always pushing. Source is coming through you. It's effortless. There's no push pull and I need this and yeah, now, now, now. No, source comes to you effortless. And when you ask, you get an answer. And that's the best description. And I feel at peace when that happens.
Mhm.
When I've when a negative force tries to attach to me, which happened, and
Oh,
I
yes.
had bruises from somebody who tried to Oh yeah, hypnotherapist, right? Yeah, he tried to put a beacon into my energy field as a tether, so to speak,
Oh,
so he
wow.
could siphon my energy off. And my
Nasty.
energy, yeah, nasty, but I felt it, and I invoked my archangel Michael to help me to push that away. And but the end effect was I had a big bruise like this on my thigh, on my back of my thigh, and I didn't even realize that until I was with a friend and who said to me, "Well, what? Where did you get that bruise?" And I'm like, "What? What bruise?" So that's what I'm saying. I feel when it's dark, I feel it's
Mhm.
always with pain. You always feel a prodding. You always feel like something is poking you. It's like a needle. It's like something is, like wants to tie a knot in you. Something goes in you and wants to just fester in you. You feel that. I feel that. And that's the difference. And that's why I know this is negative and
Mhm.
it's coming through you and it makes you feel good and it feels right. Then this is source.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. You know,
It's hard to
yeah.
explain, actually.
It is. It is. It is, but it definitely is very real. That's the thing.
Yes.
Very real.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you, ever received a message or vision about the future?
Yeah. I dream.
Mm.
I never used to dream
Mhm.
until my gifts were reignited.
Oh.
Uh, yeah. Now I have two types of dreams. I have lucid dreaming, and I know I'm in a different dimension and I work, and I can remember what I did. Not every time, thankfully. Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
But then I get these absolute strange, I call it strange dreams. I would never dream anything up like that. And I have to interpret these dreams. And they are messages for me, for my for my path, what I have to do, if I have to take another course, if I have to look into, let's say, brain cancer, if I have to look into connecting with certain people, that kind of stuff. And this
Mhm.
is the messages I get for my future. Do I get messages for other people in the future? Not like that, but I do divination. So that means you ask me the question and I'm the medium and I tell you the answers, what source tells you. Yes. And it's very precise. That's another part that I do. Not super often, but it comes up more, I have to
Okay.
say.
Okay.
Right? Because
Right.
it's part of it. And in
Yeah.
some of my counseling sessions that comes up too, because then I get asked, okay, what is this? What is that? And can you check this and that? So yeah, I get that. But it's not like I get it for people or for the world or anything
Right.
like that.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, our time is almost up
Ah,
here. I have one more question. It's been great, and I
okay.
wanna have you back because there's so many more things I wanna discuss with you, but
Thank you.
I just yeah, I can you share for our audience, because this is your audience as well now, can you share with our audience one thing that you would really love for people to really come to know in a way that is not, you know, pushy, shovey, but just something that people can hold on to lightly. I call it hold on loosely, not tight,
Mhm.
but not so loose that it falls away, right? Just something that might just something that you could share with people from everything that you have gone through, everything that you be, everything that you do, and everything that you share with people. If you could just share one thing with our audience.
Yeah. For me personally, and what I see in my clients, everything is possible. And you can heal and fix and change yourself from anything. If there's a will, there's a way.
Awesome. Beautiful. And I totally know that's true. And having been a client of yours and continuing, I
Thank you.
can say nothing but and have nothing but the highest, absolute highest regard for you and the highest
Thank you.
just, yeah. it's a blessing. You're a blessing to our world, Sonia. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing and being who you are. And I will be sharing your information on the artwork that I do for the podcast so people can get in touch with you. But just maybe if, from them listening right now in your voice, what is the best way for them to contact you?
Well, the best way to get an idea of who I am as well and
Hmm.
getting that hurdle of what if
Right.
is my webpage,
Okay.
www.quantummedela.com. And there's a contact form, there's my phone number. They can call me directly or just send the contact form. It comes to my email and then I go from there. And they can I check them. So if people say, well, can I have a check first? Yes, of course you can. Then I check the energy field and share what I find. And then we can talk about the next steps. Yes, that would be terrific.
Awesome. Okay. Well, and then, like I say, it will be posted as well. So I wanted people to hear it from you, from your voice, because
Mhm.
it's a special invitation that way. And then it'll be written on the artwork for the podcast. So thank you, Sonia. Lots of love. And I can't wait to be with you again. And I know our audience is going to want to be as well. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Colli. I am so honored to be on your podcast list and sending you much love and light.
Oh,
Thank
thank you,
you.
my darling. Thank you so much. Blessings.
Bye.